Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Getting With the Program, talking about My Hero Academia Season 2, Episode 1. That's the idea, Ochaco. I am here once again with the lovely Kitty Kross.
I'm gonna do my best!
The wonderful Ashen Sky.
I brought lunch! Want to share?
And of course, you all know me as your ever-friendly Pokeprof. Decided to switch things up since we're starting up with Season 2 of My Hero. So, who else other than me was excited to get back into My Hero?
Me.
I think Sky in particular was chomping at the bit.
Oh,
Do you even have to ask?
I think the only thing you were more excited for more than, this was showing me JoJo. Which I still have the frickin' first season theme stuck in my head. So don't be surprised if you see some JoJo references from this point onward. Anyway, so this episode is a bit of recap, which start of season 2. It's not too surprising. You're gonna expect to see recap in the first of any season, I would think, just to help everyone catch up. But after the recap, we get to see a little bit more of the characters as they're all kind of like just relaxing and trying to recover from the fact that they had villains attack. And we even get to see all the teachers kind of like hanging out with All Might himself, going and saying like, hey, this is what we know, this is what we're trying to figure out. And
his investigator friend was giving them a rundown on what they were able to find out about the villains.
Exactly.
Which wasn't a lot.
No, but it also shows, again, one of the things that I love about this series so far is the simple fact that the characters are smart. They observe everything when it comes to a fight. It's something that you think would just be something for Deku, and that's still his one of his keen defining characteristics. But otherwise, it's like we see All Might. He's actually going on about Mr. Hands dude, whose name just flew.
Shigaraki.
Thank you, Shigaraki. He's saying the way he was acting, the way he was doing things. It's like he acted more like a spoiled brat, a spoiled kid than an adult.
At which point the principal pointed out that since he seems to be in that respect a lot like their students, could mean that there's someone else guiding him to be doing what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was kind of really interesting to see that. And then I think it was earlier on in this episode, we actually also have All Might, because this was actually a little bit more in episode after the actual theme song. Before the theme song, we actually had a little bit of Deku explaining the world, but then we also had a letter from All Might to somebody else that I don't think we ever saw their face or heard their name. We just saw it was an older character, right?
No, but it was alluded to that it was his predecessor.
Yeah, it was alluded to that it's his predecessor, and we also got to see All Might's true name. Because from this point, before this point, it's like everyone here knows him as All Might. But then we actually see his real name being, Sky, you're going to have to see it because I do not remember it.
His name was Toshinori Yagi.
Toshinori Yagi. I remember the Yagi part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Toshinori Yagi. And do you actually want to explain the importance of that name, Sky? Because you actually brought that up when we were actually watching the episode proper.
I believe the kanji, when for the name means 9.
I thought you said it was meant
said 8.
8.
8, sorry.
Yeah, and then
what time we're doing this.
Yeah, so it's like his name means 8. Deku's name means 9.
Well, I know that because Izu-Q, because Q is 9 in Japanese, so that makes sense to me. I don't know where the 8 is in the Toshinori Yagi part.
Yeah, I don't know Japanese that well either, so I can't say what is what. But basically, it's going with the fact that since All Might's power, one for all, is something that he can pass on. It's like symbolizing the fact that All Might himself is the 8th person to have had one for all, and then Deku is the 9th.
Looking on the wiki, it's the Ya that means the 8.
Ah, okay, cool.
His name also contains the kanji for tree, genius, and law.
Well, considering his whole "I am here" bit, I'm not surprised of the law. I am not surprised in the slightest. But for this episode was...
Oh yeah, okay. Now I get it. The ya, because when it's the version of the number where you're actually counting something, it's not the number itself. Because see, Yatsu is where the ya would come into place for 8.
Which makes sense. It's Japanese. Japanese loves their whole pun-centric way of doing things with their language. It's like they'll go and make where like certain words just because they have certain symbols or whatnot, they'll say, hey, this is a pun of this. And that's a very common thing in their language. Which makes me all sorts of jealous because we can't do that in English.
I'm surprised that I even remember some of that stuff I learned from Japanese class.
Japanese class and helping raise a bilingual baby, hon.
True.
It's like you learned a lot from raising that little girl, so.
Yeah.
But going on back to the episode itself, we basically get to see a little bit more on the characters themselves, how a bunch of the side characters are reacting and going like, oh, we're glad that this is over and things are just going to go get tougher and stuff like that. We also get to see a focus on a few of the other characters that we don't normally get to see focus on. Like, we got to see Mr. Mountain Face, who hasn't even been properly introduced to the audience yet.
He hasn't even spoken.
Yeah, he hasn't spoken at all. But we actually got to see him actually be, like, on screen, like, right up there for everyone to see. And he actually responds to another character by nodding his head. We actually have our Acid Girl ask, like, hey, who's going to be our teacher? Because, Eraserhead is still completely and totally thrashed from, the previous episode. And then he just walks right in, bandaged up like a frickin' mummy.
Yeah.
It's like...
Aizawa is still apparently capable of teaching, just can't use his quirk.
Well...
Just like always, he gives no fucks.
True. I don't even think they said he couldn't use his quirk. I think he's just bandaged up. But he's not going to be fighting anytime soon.
Oh, absolutely not.
And if he is, he's just going to hurt himself more, which is going to put him in an even worse situation. But we then later get to... we see Ochaco just go... Like, as I said when we were actually watching the episode, she was basically channeling inner Sakura from Naruto with just how crazy she was like, we're going to show them we can do it, yeah! Because...
I'm going to do my best!
Yeah. Aizawa basically announced that what's going to happen is there's going to be a sports festival for the Hero Academia. And apparently this has basically become this world's new Olympics. It's like, this is the thing that everyone follows and watches.
I like the fact that they even reference the fact that the Olympics used to be a thing before quirks started happening.
Well, and that makes sense. And I kind of like that idea, is the fact that, the Olympics itself is all there to test the limits and endurance and the power of, what a human can do. That can't be done if you have someone like, Bakugo, who is able to literally make explosions and thrust himself forward.
I just found it interesting the depth that they actually explained the fact that after quirks became a thing and started to become more prevalent, that viewership for the Olympics and the pomp and circumstance for it went down significantly to the point that it's not as big a deal anymore. And the major focus of the public is this event at UA now.
Yeah, for all the heroes. And I also do think they actually mentioned, like in one of the very first episodes, how they said it's like when quirks started to become a thing, it's like world records were being set in the Olympics almost immediately because people were using their quirks.
So it's interesting that they decided that they were able to establish that in their history.
Yep. The world building in this particular show is really good.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that's impressed me so far, and it's like, and we're only in the first episode of the second season, and I'm willing to say this right now, and I fully believe it. My hero, but I'll be entirely honest. It's like, if people were to ask me like some of the greatest shows ever made, it's like one of the first answers I think, and I know Sky would agree with me at this, and I'm pretty sure you would as well, hon. One of the first answers I would ever give someone on one of the greatest cartoons, or flat out, even not even cartoon shows, just one of the greatest shows ever made, Avatar: The Last Airbender, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I think we can all agree that's one of the best ones.
Mm-hmm. That had incredible world building.
Yeah. Incredible world building, incredible characters. There were a few hits and misses, but every show is going to have that. My Hero Academia, in my honest opinion, is up there. It is like, I would be willing to put it right alongside. Just having seen the first season and this first episode of the second season, I would put it right alongside Avatar. That's how good it is.
You haven't even yet begun to see.
I know we haven't even yet begun, but that's what I'm saying. Just from 14 episodes of this series, I'm willing to say, yes, this is that good. And this is the thing this is why I was saying, is like, I was expecting this kind of feeling from Ruby. You know, I thought that like that was like how good Ruby was going to be, which while Ruby is good, I don't think it's up to Avatar good.
Well, getting back to this episode, we also learned what Ochaco's motivation for being a hero actually is.
Mm-hmm. Which that would being she wants to go and help her parents.
Yeah, well, first thing she says was she wants to make a lot of money. But then she expands on that, saying that, you know, her parents run a construction outfit and she wants to be helpful to them by becoming a pro hero so that she can make enough money for them to live comfortably.
Yeah, though the way they actually also show it off and describe it, it almost seems like the restrictions of this world are set in place to where she actually has to go to hero school and qualify as a hero before she can actually even use her powers to like help out in the construction business.
Yes, unauthorized quirk use is a crime.
Yeah, which on the one hand I can completely understand, but on the other hand it's like, why do you need to go and be a hero to otherwise be able to use your quirk freely? It's like, why can't you just go and get like a different kind of license and be able to go, okay, I have this levitating power. Boom, I can go and levitate all this stuff. I mean, on the one hand, it's like, I like the world building. I'm curious on how they're going to work around it. On the other hand, I'm just like, does she need to be a hero?
I think mainly, you know, from my perspective, the way that they would have set things up in this world so far, the way that it's their way of policing those with quirks so that they can keep tabs on exactly what they're capable of. They need to go through this course, these programs, so they can completely gauge what their abilities are, know what they can do, and be able to keep proper tabs on them.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
It's their way of regulating their quirks, I think.
Not only that, but the flashback sequence that Ochaco had also gave us little like 5-year-old Ochaco, which is too adorable to resist. So, and
Just cinnamon run, we must protect.
Yeah, it's like I know she's like supposed to be like the official like ship partner with Deku, so it's like I'm definitely warming up to her. I'm still way too exposed to Deku with Froppy, aka Sue. So that's probably I will probably always have a soft spot for that, but I am definitely warming up to Ochaco. But
now, in the midst of the discussion about Ochaco's reasons for being a hero, All Might shows up and invites Deku to lunch.
And the way he does it is like, you wanna eat with me? And Ochaco's like, that's so adorable. It's like, ah. But it goes from being adorable to being a lot more serious because we get a double hitter. Not only does Mr. Icy Hot Torakiri, I want to say?
No, Todoroki.
Todoroki. Damn, I was close. But Todoroki overhears Ochaco and Ida talking about Deku and the fact that, you know, All Might is apparently hanging out with him and is like their powers are similar enough to where it gets him suspicious. Like, you know what? I need to be on my guard for that. And then we actually learn from All Might, which is the second punch, that All Might's timer for how long he can actually be All Might has gone down.
Yeah, he can barely hold the appearance of All Might for an hour and a half, and he can only really do hero work for maybe 50 minutes at a stretch.
Yeah. The fight with Nomu in the previous season just took that much out of him. And that is scary because Deku is nowhere near capable as of yet.
Yeah.
In controlling All for One.
But that's also the reason that All Might is impressing upon him that he needs to work better at control, and also emphasizes the importance of the upcoming sports festival to get himself noticed and introduce himself to the world as the new hero of peace.
Yeah, because
All Might's not going to be able to carry that mantle for much longer.
Yeah, and he's even said himself in the episode, villains have started to notice the fact that I'm not as capable as I once was. We need a new hero.
That was actually pointed out in the last battle with the villains.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was pointed out there, but this is something that especially with All Might's timer going down, it's something that really presses upon not just Deku, but the viewer, saying, don't always expect All Might to be around. You know, it's like, especially with his timer going down, it's like, he might be able to push it again, but if he does, for all we know, that might take him down to half an hour. And it's like, and this is still something that actually physically hurts him. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, we've all seen that mark on his body. It's like, he's able to do it, but he's doing it at the expense of pushing himself. And
for all we know, even though he's only stated that it's lessened his ability to be in his hero form, we don't know how it is affecting his overall health. How much it shortened his lifespan.
Yeah, for all we know, the next time he goes All Might and has to fight something like Nomu could be All Might's last. Yeah. I mean, I know for a fact that it isn't, simply because we've got this season, at least another season behind it, and 2 movies. So I doubt All Might's going to be dead anytime soon, but it's a matter of the fact that he will not be able to push himself all that much longer.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much the gist of everything. We recapped. We got a look at what's going to be coming up next. And, you know, I'm anxious to see what this sports festival is going to show us.
Oh, it's going to be an absolute delight.
It's going to be fun, I think. I honestly cannot wait. And I really hope they're going to be showing off a little bit more of the characters like they did in this episode, so we'll have to see. Any final thoughts before we go ahead and leave off?
Nope.
No, I'm eager to get to the next one.
All right. Well, with all that said, folks, we're going to go ahead and watch the next episode. And until then, stay frosty.
Ta-ta.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your ever-friendly Pokeprof, and I wanted to thank you for watching yet another episode of Getting With the Program. If you got any suggestions on how to make the show better, or you're just wanting to say hi, leave a comment below. If you also like and subscribe, that will definitely help us out on the channel. Also, be sure to check out the upcoming episode of Fascinating Fiction, a solo series in which I'm wanting to do a little bit more scripted content. You can also follow both me and Kitty, and I believe also Sky as well, on social media, mostly Twitter, and as well as when we stream on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays over on Twitch, where we mostly just play games that I've never played before and goof around. Hope to see you guys there, but until then, stay frosty.